Okay, let's go.
Simoya Jima.
restaurant, the first person that knocks on your door will not be a Coca-Cola. A free fridge. Is it a free fridge? They basically give all of their fridges out, then I made it a 600 million. I got myself the other day. Which bed sheet? Just it. I got myself the other day. Which bed sheet? Just it. I got my. We're going to combine $100 million of debt in our 20s. Well, how are we getting the money for these big projects? Dad, when are you sending me that $50 million? You kidding? We're playing Smash Bros. You don't need millions in the bank to take on $1 million projects. My partners and I raised $6 million from 30 investors, put up the store tax credit to buy this 100-unit tower in Kansas City. We got a micro resort in Texas that made millions of dollars. All it is going to advocate or spend on experiences. You want to put a defense, please do it. You want to put a sort of a defense, please do it. What is that board member? You know what? You're not putting it back. I'm going to remember back. I'm going to remember these units. I'm going to remember the iPhone 17 I bought in 2025. I'm going to remember the voice stream. आपने लोगों से बात करते हो तो आपने से वहाँ पे कोई डेमोक्रेसी कहेगी तो वो कुछ कहते हैं इस चीज के बारे में कि भाई हमें चाहिए या क्या सीट है मुझे लगता था कि इनको चाहिए होगी बड़ी बेचारे कूद रहे हैं भाई मेरा मानना तो यही था कि हम तो बोलते ही आजादी होती है पर एक बंदे ने मुझे वो लॉजिकल बात बताई जिस पहले से मैंने कभी सोचा ही नहीं मैं ना चौंकिंग है मुझे वो 380 सिटी है उसमें मैं वीडियो बना रहा हूँ उसका पता लगाई देता है कि भाई ये दूसरा वीडियो बना रहा है तो मैं जाके बैठा पहली बार किसी ऐसे तो इसलिए अच्छी से बात हो पाएगी तो वो बोला आप इंस्टा ले लो भाई चलता नहीं हमारे चलता नहीं वो कहता है कि मैं ना सरकार के विभाग में काम करता हूँ इसमें मेरे पास एक्सेस है अच्छा इसका मतलब एक तो बात देखो कि गवर्नमेंट भी एक्सेस लेती है मतलब ये जो वीडियो देख रहे हैं गवर्नमेंट की प्रमोटर नहीं मैं इनको कर सके और हमारे अंदर आ सके जो ये कंटेंट डालते हैं ठीक है बोला कि वीडियो देखते हैं टिकटॉक पे ऐसा होता है गलता वाला अब उन्होंने तो मेरा नाम फेंक दिया मैंने फिर बोला फिर मेरा तो समझा नहीं था इस बात को ये वाली वीडियो दिखाई दी मेरे को किसी आए भी लेवल करके उतर गया अच्छा और अब तो मुझे बात बता क्रेजी नहीं है ठीक है सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि उनके लिए बड़ी बात थी मैंने तेरे को बताया ट्रैवल को पैसे ही है आगे बढ़ रहे हो तो ऐसा नहीं कि सब लोगों को पैसा है तो ये हमें ऐसा थोड़ा चाहिए कुछ लोगों को पैसा है तो जीडीपी ऐसे हो जाती है अगर 5 बाल के हैं तो ऐसे ही भूख लगी हुई है तो खरीदने की और ये नहीं गाड़ी तो करके खरीदने की होगी ये थोड़ी पता है यार we are a वाला सिस्टम है तो ठीक है भाई तो मैं कहा गया मैंने सी बात ही कि मैं बोला भाई मैं डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है
video editing is dead. That's
software engineers.
When
से लेकर 1962 के आसपास वही आई तो हमारे में ज्यादा फ्रीडम इंजॉय नहीं कर सकते हमारे कल्चर में है कि जैसे अगर हमें फ्रीडम मिलती है ना उसमें वो ज्यादा सुख लगता है कि ये बोल हाथ पकड़ने वाले भाई ज्यादा ही सब कुछ बनाने के लिए अनरेस्ट हो जाता है सोसाइटी में ये हमने देखा हुआ है हमारे इतिहास में ज्यादा इतिहास सबसे ज्यादा बड़ी बड़ी लोग हैं चाइना में करोड़ों लोग इसी सिविल अनरेस्ट पॉलिसीज की वजह से तो कहते हैं बात आ चुकी है कि हम ऐसे कि कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा ये भाई मैंने सोसाइटी में देखा है
When did you first invest into OpenAI?
तो आप मतलब वो घर में खलीफा आ रही है तो जो अगर नहीं होगा तो क्या करोगे है कि नहीं मैंने भाई लड़ते हुए देखा है कोई इतना पानी पोस्ट करते हुए चिल्लाते हैं फोन पे तो ये है मेट्रो में भाई हमारे यहाँ अब लोगों में सीट है कि मेट्रो सेंट्रल ये 70 साल के बूढ़े को हमारी उम्र का जवान लड़का बॉडी बिल्डर ऐसा टक्कर मार के गया भाई अंकल ऐसे शक्तिमान के रूप में ठीक है मैं एक बार पीछे भी निकला तो भाई क्या यार देख ले जादू की मार के गया और यंगस्टर क्या देखा आपने कुछ टाइम देखी वहाँ वो पीने के बाद क्या हरकतें हो रही है स्ट्रीट्स कैसी है सेफ है नहीं है या कुछ ऐसे कोई आपको बोल देता है कुछ कुछ देते हैं ऐसा होता है जैसे यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में आपने बहुत देखा है कि ऑटो का ग्रुप चल रहा है तो वो किसी अकेले जाते हुए कोई लड़कियों को छेड़ देंगे वो भी बहुत बदतमीज होते हैं यूरोपियंस तो ऐसा कुछ देखा आपने चाइनीज यूथ में कि ऐसा कुछ चल रहा है तो ऐसा हमारे नहीं देखा उनका मतलब एग्रेशन मेरा है बिहेवियर के अंदर ही नोटिस किया है वो चांस होगा कि मैं नहीं करेंगे भाई कोई क्या चीज है चाइना में इसमें मतलब वो सेफ्टी बात नहीं निकाल देते हैं समझ रहे हो जहाँ उनको मौका मिलता है रंगा मार के मारते हैं क्या हो रहा है मैं आप सोच के देखूं कि मैं बस से जा रहा था 3 बजे रात में मेरे पीछे बैठ के फुल आवाज में लड़की फुल आवाज मुझे इसको कहते हैं चाइनीज क्या है भाई मतलब वो बुलेट है आप सेंस के लिए नंबर भी कम नहीं कर सकते तो ये कह सकते हो तो बैटरी जब इतना स्ट्रिक्ट है सोच के देखो तो मैं उस बंदे ने बोला ना मुझे कि हमारे यहाँ ऐसा है तो फिर पहले धीरे धीरे चीजें करेक्ट करें तो यार ये चीजें नहीं है कि हमें कंट्रोल करना मुश्किल है इसलिए हम इस जो अभी हमारी एक पार्टी हम किसी के को चल सकते हैं हम लाभ होते मुझे लगता है ये एक्सेप्टेंस है वो हम सोचते होने चाहिए नहीं चाहिए भाई आपने ऐसा भी नोटिस करा है चाइनीज लोग दिखाने लगे ये इसका में छुपे रहते हैं पर अब ये ऐसे है कि मतलब
We are Media Key, the best content agency that helps business owners scale with premium content. We are currently looking for full-time editors, and we are looking for the best of the best. Now, I know you might be wondering,
ऐसे पड़े हुए वहां पर है ही नहीं और हमारे लोग शॉपिंग कर रहे हैं करते तो है करते तो है भाई जैसे हमने यूके में देखा चाइनीज मिस्टर में देखा डिस्काउंट लगता है ऐसे उसमें तो वो फेमस है इसलिए कि चाइनीज खाली सूटकेस लेकर आते हैं वहाँ और भर के शॉपिंग करते हैं भाई एक्सपेंसिव ब्रांड है पर वो डिस्काउंटेड रेट पे मिलते हैं वहाँ पे वो मिस्टर में मिलते हैं तो वहाँ चाइनीज शॉपर्स बहुत आते हैं तो हमने ऐसे देखा चाइनीज शॉपिंग में होते हैं और पैसे वाले भी होते हैं भाई पैसा तो वो रखेंगे ना कि उनके देश में जब सिस्टम ही है कि आप घर नहीं खरीद सकते मतलब आप कितने भी अमीर हो लीज तो लेना 70 साल की लीज है आपका कब है और 40 साल की तो बात है तो अगर आप उनका उनके पर्सपेक्टिव से देखा जाए तो ये बोलते हैं कि इसने खरीदा है 30 साल में नॉर्मल एवरेज बंदा अगर खरीदता है तो 70 साल वो तो 100 साल का होगा तो मर जाएगा उसका मतलब का भी 30-40 साल का हो जाएगा तो उसको काबिल बनाना चाहते हैं जनता को नहीं उनका मानना ये है कि भाई ताकि उसके पास करने के लिए होगा क्या तो वेल्थ भी ऐसे ट्रांसफर होती रहेगी सरकार हमेशा पावरफुल रहेगी तो क्योंकि प्रॉपर्टी से लोग ज्यादा अमीर हो जाते हैं तो एक पॉलिसी है कि कोई भी बंदा हमसे नहीं ले सकता सरकार से भाई आप ऐसे नहीं करते हैं कि खरीदना पड़ सकता है आपकी वीडियो बहुत वायरल होती है कि आप दिखा रहे थे कि सीढ़ियां एस्केलेटर्स है वो एकदम डीप डाउन पहाड़ लोग पे जा रही है आपसे पहाड़ लोग की सीढ़ियां बता रही है कहाँ गया मुझे क्या पता चला कि जब मैं उसकी सिटी में गया था मैंने सुना सिटी है और मैंने जितने वीडियो देखी है उस वीडियो में वो फिक्सिंग बिल्डिंग जो है सिर्फ वही दिखाई जाती है आप जैसे वहाँ पे लोगों से बात करते हो तो आपने जैसे वहाँ पे डेमोक्रेसी कही था तो वो कुछ कहते हैं इस चीज के बारे में कि भाई हमें चाहिए या क्या मुझे लगता था कि तो चाहिए होगी बड़ी बेचारे लूट रहे हैं भाई मेरा मानना तो यही था तो बोल रही आजादी तो आजादी होगी बट ये बंदे ने मुझे लॉजिकल बात है इस मैंने सोचा ही मैं ना चौकिंग में चौकी है 380 सिटी है उसमें मैं वीडियो बना रहा था तो बंदा बता लगाई है कि भाई मैंने वीडियो बना रहा तो मैं जाके बैठा था तो मैं लड़की स्नाइप कर तो बंदा मेरे पीछे बैठा था तो लड़की तब तक यार तो उसने पहली बात करी ट्रांसलेटर से कर रहा था बता कर बात तो इसलिए अच्छी से लागू करेगी तो पूरा आप हिस्सा ले पाए ऐसे ना वैसा चलता है मैं चलता है गाइस it's actually a real game. Well, 27 stars. That's actually pushing it cooler. ये इतना लंबा आपने इसमें इंडस्ट्री में इतना समय में लेकिन एक एक्टर है जिनकी शायद बहुत लोगों से नहीं बनती है लेकिन वो आपको अपना बहुत अच्छा मित्र बनाते हैं और वो नसीर साहब वो मुझसे एक बार कह चुके हैं कि भाई मैं उसके साथ जितना कंफर्टेबल हूं ना वो मैं अपने हम लोगों के साथ भी कोई किस्सा ऐसा कुछ खास हो तो बताइए ना सर एक बार ये हुआ था कि ऐसे मुझे पूछा था और मैंने कहा कि देखो नसीर साहब सीनियर है मैं उसके बारे में ऐसे और जैसे इंटरव्यू खत्म हुआ था और आया था नसीर का फोन आया था कहा था कि मैं तुम्हारा दोस्त नहीं है सर मैंने सर आपने गलती कर दी है तो आपसे जो है दोस्त बना दिया मेरा टीचर है स्वभाव है अगर आपने मेरा स्वभाव है आपने बहुत ही फेमस फिल्म प्रोड्यूसर डायरेक्टर said it's not something you know, think about it, and I can figure out a way to make something. Should be good for the community that actually set up. I just know that I'm not alone in this. Demolition. Check. Yeah, 252 people killed, not by courts, not by due process, but by mobs. In just 16 months, Bangladesh has witnessed one of the darkest periods of 16 months, Bangladesh has witnessed one of the darkest periods of extrajudicial violence in its history. An average of nearly 16 deaths every month. According to Aino Salish Kendra, at least 128 people were lynched in 2024 alone. 96 of those killings happened after the interim government took office.
కొండకి సుఖాల్లో కొత్త కొర తక్కువ నుంచి కూర్చునే కను వల్ల కొత్త కానీ శతాం কিয়ে কথা আজ ফোন দিছিল নিজের কাল্লা কথা কইছে তখন আই করোনা একজন বিশেষ করে কইয়া না কই কই তোর কোনো সমস্যা মন দিলে কিছু না তো কৈফিয়ত দিতে হাঁটতেন নয় পঞ্চাশে দিয়ে হিললে কোন আছে আর ভালো হয়েছে। কোন হল আল্লাহর আমার ইচ্ছে করে তোমার কেউ কিছু কর না
Save time creating content and generate a high-quality clone of.
This video is brought to you by Envato. How do I combine images? How do I match color, contrast, saturation? What are smart objects, layer masks, layer modes, adjustment layers? Should I be using them? What about AI? Should I be incorporating AI? I'm Abby Sparza, and I've been using photo manipulation techniques for over 10 years. We're going to be covering all the basics for combining and compositing photos today, from Photoshop's generative fill tool to extracting images and adjusting every aspect of your different photos, making sure they blend. This video is brought to you by
Space, the final frontier. Creating stars, galaxy, and nebula require a unique set of techniques. And in this video, we're going to be taking a quick look at a slew of different effects, ultimately creating a being made of the stars themselves. Like Nebula, we're going to be keeping everything very loose and freeform. It's all about going with the flow. We're going to be doing a whole lot of playing with different layer modes, and experimenting with the flow of shadows and light, seeing what shapes naturally form as we go. I will be using a graphics tablet today, however, it is by no means required. Just be sure to keep that brush flow rate nice and low, and you'll be just fine. So let's jump right into it. We want to start everything off by creating a star field, which there are tons of different ways to go about. Today, I want to show you all the noise filter technique, which is my personal favorite as it's quick yet effective. You want to go ahead and create a color fill layer, setting it to whatever color you want your sky to be. I'll be using a very dark blue, but you can play with reds, greens. Don't feel obligated to choose black or dark blues or your typical sky colors. Space is mysterious after all. you'll want to create a new layer that is filled with straight black, setting it to screen. This will effectively hide it. Go ahead and fill that black layer with 50% noise, making sure the noise is set to Gaussian and monochromatic. Go in with some curve adjusting to further refine and brighten if needed. Just play with the settings until you are happy. This isn't an exact science. You just zoom in so you can kind of get a good look at the density and brightness of your stars. If you want larger stars speckled about, you can either A, paint them in by hand using just a hard round brush, or duplicate your star field, enlarge it, and then go back in with some more level adjustments if needed. And there you go, a quick and easy star field. Next up, you would likely paint any nebula. However, unlike with the stars, I sadly do not have a set method on how I paint nebula and galaxies and space backgrounds to share with everyone. But I do have some tips that I typically go by. First, use fractal and cloud brushes alongside of the soft round brush. This will give you more shape and detail and texture. Second, use a mixture of color dodge, linear dodge, screen, and overlay. 3, go layer happy. There's no such thing as too many layers. Sometimes I will draw a single line on a layer and then create a new one. No one's gonna yell at you for having too many layers. You can always merge them down later if you need to. And finally, look at references. Space and nebula art is some of the most popular art on the internet, and for good reason. Take a look at what's out there. You will be incredibly inspired, and you'll be able to see how detailed nebulas and space art can actually become. I will be using a pre-painted space-inspired texture of mine that I have available for
क्या रजरा गरुड़ा किल्ले चुगंडा
anyone and everyone to download for free. The link will be in the description. It makes a great base to build on. Here, I went ahead and increased the brightness, added some color and contrast here and there, as well as use a couple of adjustment layers. Feel free to use it anywhere, anytime, for anything. Next up, we have our color grade. I went ahead and set up my color grade for the image, comprising of a whopping 8 adjustment layers in total. And between you and me, I could easily add more. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of all of them, or else we will be here all night, if not all year. So, first up, a curves layer. Not only to adjust the contrast, but to increase the reds, greens, and blues. Second, a color lookup layer, set to crisp warm. Another color lookup layer, set to fall colors, focused on the left side of the image using layer masks. Finishing up the color lookup layers, I have one last one set to sunset. And here I have a whopping 4 selective color layers, adjusting the blues, reds, magentas, and cyans in that order. I prefer to set each color on their own selective color layer to give me even more control over the overall adjustments. I could set these to individual color modes, I could adjust the opacity, and the order of the selective color layers actually matter. If you move them around, you will get slightly different effects, so keep that in mind. You'll also want to go ahead and group and lock all these layers together, keeping things nice and tidy.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want.
With our base being done, we can move on to the main event. We're going to be using a lot of layer masks, group within group, layer masks on those groups. Let's just say I highly recommend keeping things organized this round because it can be a little confusing. Before we worry about all that, first, let's go ahead and extract our model. My personal favorite method is the pen tool. However, any technique works. Once you have your subject all extracted, you'll want to up the contrast of the subject and change the skin tone to a bluish hue, which I did with a hue and saturation layer set to colorize. Group all these layers together into a group named face, as this will ultimately only end up being the subject's face. However, for now, we are going to go ahead and hide it, because first, we have to create the base of our body, of our subject, before we can move ahead with that face. Go ahead and duplicate the model layer, bringing it outside of the face group. Right-click Apply Layer Mask if you have a layer mask, and rename the layer to Shadow Body, setting it to around 60% opacity. Fill the layer with flat black. I personally like going to Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and then bringing that brightness down to 0. Then go and add a layer mask to the shadow body layer, masking out the feet and part of the midsection. This is to give this almost a ghost effect. A shadow ghost effect, if that makes sense. Trust me, just follow me with this one. We can finally add a face to our base. Turn the face group back on, and then using a layer mask filled with black, mask back in parts of the face and neck. Whatever parts you want to mask in is up to you. I chose the left eye and a bit of the neck, but again, this is your design, this is your Nebula monster, all up to you. And then by repeating the same steps as we did with the face, we can add some muscle and body detail. This essentially is duplicating your face group, redoing the layer masks so you can only see the body. And then you'll also want to go in and change the model layer to screen and reverse the clip gradient map. So it went from black to white to black. This technique is one of my favorites to use if I want someone to look like they're glowing from the outside, and it is very handy. Now we want to add a bunch of lighting texture effects to our subject, and the best way to go about this is by creating multiple groups that are masked the shape of our model. That way, anything we drop into that group will be in the shape of our subject, so we don't have to keep masking things over and over and over again. I suggest also making multiple different groups for the sake of organization. Go ahead and create a new group above your previous groups, naming the first group Textures. Create a selection in the shape of your model by going to the shadow body layer, holding Control, and clicking on the layer's layer icon. Once you have your selection, go back to the textures group and add a layer mask. And there you go, the mask will take the shape of the model. As you may have guessed by the name, this group is dedicated to all of the textures that we want to place onto and into our galaxy friend. You will want to use an array of different space and star textures, including reusing our background texture, setting them to different layer modes. Screen, lighten, color dodge are some of my favorites. And
Quieto नहीं नहीं तो Apology. Nah.
Also utilizing things like layer masks to mask out any harsh edges and unwanted stars. Layer opacity and image adjustments, also very handy. I personally love brightness and contrast and hue and saturation. You just want to go nuts and play. There are no wrong answers here. There is no one way to do any of this. Once you are decently happy with your textures, create a new group, much as you did with the textures group with the layer mask, only naming this one Atmosphere. This is where we're going to add blooms of colored light to our subject, along with building up the already existing shadows. It's all about those screen and color dodge layers with this one. And to get a very nice flow light effect, I actually used the Perlin Flow Field Brush set found on Envato Elements. And then finishing up the subject, I decided to add some veins starting from the left side of the chest spreading out. Once again, using the layer masked group technique to keep everything contained. I'm going to paint jagged 1 to 2 pixel lines, making sure they look very organic and random.
When you have the perfect response in your head, but your fingers just can't keep up. We've all been there. Typing, deleting, retyping. Now I use Whisperflow. I just think out loud and it creates perfect formatted text on any Apple website. Whisperflow.
Once you are done painting and tweaking all of your layers, adding this and adjusting that, go ahead and group all 5 layers and the shadow base layer into one big group so they don't get in the way, as I assume they are all quite beefy. By now, I actually started to notice that the dark area behind the subject's head was looking like a slightly sassy hair flip, so I decided to roll with it. Remember, work with lighting, not against it. If you start to see shapes and detail naturally forming within the lighting and shadows, then enhance them, bring them out. Use these naturally occurring forms to your advantage. Go in on a layer set to soft light and slowly build up the shadows and lighting using black and white or other colors color picked from around the areas you are enhancing and painting on. Along with the hair, I'm feeling like the face also needs some brightening, and frankly, what nameless galaxy being is going to have a set of glowing orange eyes? For eyes and full-bodied subjects, I like to keep it simple. A white circle and some glow using screen and overlay. Smoke brushes are also very, very fun to play with here, as it adds a little more texture and a little more movement. And with our star attraction all finished, now is the time to add in the finishing touches. Stars, dust, color, more stars. Can you ever have enough stars? Depends who you ask, and if you ask me, I say no. So go ahead and again, play with the same textures you use to build up your galaxy.
Yes.
Friend. Only this time, placing them outside of the subject's body, making his innards outwards, if that isn't too creepy. Enlarge them, blur them, shrink them, mask them, play with every layer mode known to man and alien alike. And once you have your textures, add your final wash of color to really bring everything together. Layers of oranges, blues, and greens set to layer modes like screen, overlay, color dodge. Paint with large brushes, small brushes, cloud brushes are again a great time to play with these cloud brushes to add more texture. The one real tip I have is to keep your brush flow low, sometimes as low as 1%. Don't be in a big rush here. This will help you control the amount of color being placed as well as the blending of the colors together, so you don't have these obnoxiously bright, solid plumes of light. Everything is very in harmony with each other. And really, you have it. Some quick inspired space techniques you can apply to your future works. And remember, these are just the jumping off point. Space is limitless after all. And with that, I'm Abby Esparza. And as always, if you are looking to learn more, why not check out some of the other fantastic tutorials Envato Tuts Plus has to offer. Get ready to create a whole dynamic space scene with nothing but a mouse and a few stock images. Hello, I'm Abby Esparza with Envato Tuts Plus, and today we'll be putting together a vibrant and lively space art photo effect. No digital painting skills required. We'll be using some out-of-this-world nebula graphics from Envato Elements. Get unlimited downloads of design assets, stock images, and fonts with Envato Elements. Millions of creative digital assets with simple commercial licensing, and you can cancel anytime. Subscribe now with the link in the description. Let's start by making a new 3000 by 2000 pixel document, setting the background color to black. Create a new layer set to hard light and paint in some soft areas of light using a gray-blue color. You can set your brush to a low flow rate to really help build up the light slowly. Let's repeat that same technique on a layer set to normal and using 3 to 4 different vibrant colors. Now let's create another new layer and press D to set the foreground background colors black and white. Select the lasso tool and set the feather to a whopping 150 pixels. And then make a selection in the middle of the canvas. Go to Filter, Render, Clouds. Now let's change the layer mode to Color Dodge. Next, let's use a levels adjustment layer clipped into the new clouds to darken them. On the layer mask, use a soft round brush set to black to bring back some of the cloud's light, just in certain areas. Duplicate and place it above all current layers. Go to Filter, Render, Difference Clouds. Now select Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and change the radius to 35 pixels. Make a color balance adjustment layer set to -58 red and 54 blue to adjust the cloud's colors. Time to make some stars. Create a new layer and change the brush's color to a light powder blue. With a hard round brush, paint random stars all over the canvas. You can change the brush's settings to help vary the shape and size, focusing on upping the size jitter and scatter. Once happy with the stars, double-click their layer, choose Outer Glow, and set the color of the glow to white, as well as the other settings seen here. Now let's create a curves adjustment layer on top of everything else we have so far, and bring down the blue curve, giving everything a bit of a hint of yellow. So let's drag and drop the nebula graphic onto our main canvas. Go ahead and adjust the size as needed. When happy, change the layer mode to Linear Dodge. Add a mask to the nebula and use a soft black brush to mask out large portions of the graphic, helping it blend in. We'll be finishing up the space background by clipping a color balance layer into the nebula and adjusting the settings. Try a green of 46 and a blue of 51, or so. You can always save these results as a PNG file for future use. You can even whip up a few of these bad boys and make your very own custom space background pack. For now, let's just group all of our space background layers, adding a mask.
Whatever. Engine সকালে হবে না সব করে বলবো নষ্ট করে তো কি আছে বলি